What's up, guys? This is Brobot Plays. Today I'm going to be making a Clash Royale cards tier list. So, starting off, we have the Wizard. The Wizard is a 5 elixir ground troop who chucks fireballs that do splash damage. He's pretty good, but not that good, because he has like no HP. Give him C tier. Next, we have the Expo. A 6 elixir crossbow tower that if you put it right in the middle area, then it can hit the opponent's towers. Does the least amount of damage in the game, but has the highest attack speed. Pretty bad card for 6 elixir. Really easily stopped. I'm gonna give it D tier. Zap. Zap is one of the most overrated cards in the game. Everyone's like, use Zap, but it's not even that good. It's just a 2 elixir little card that does a quick zap, that does a tiny bit of damage, and then resets them. So, I'll have to give it C, because it is pretty good under Wizard. And just keep in mind that the closer it is to the leather, the higher it's ranked. Oh, guys, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're not already, subscribe, please. 4 elixir, we have Zappies. Zappies are very underrated card. They're only 4 elixir, and they can zap things, like they can reset them. They take a little bit to attack, but they're pretty good. A tier. Battle Healer. Battle Healer does like no damage, and she's pretty weak, but she does this healing effect whenever she attacks. It's really annoying, and it's really useful. Keep videos. I'm gonna have to give her a seat. Get up. Sorry guys. Next we have the Battle Ram. The Battle Ram's also an underrated card. It just has 2 barbarians hold up a battle ram and it starts charging, and it runs into a tower and then turns into 2 barbarians. Or if it gets destroyed, then it just turns into 2 barbarians. B tier. Next up, we have the Bomb Tower. The Bomb Tower isn't very good of a card. It's just a 4 elixir tower that throws bombs that do splash damage. Pretty weak, not very good. C tier. Bomber, basically just the bomb tower, except it's a troop. It's pretty good for only 2 elixirs. Throws bombs that splash damage. Has no HP, but it's still pretty good. B tier. Bowler, 5 elixir, pretty tanky. Bowls rocks that go through enemies and push them back. Pretty good card. A tier. Cannon. Cannon is a really good card. Like one of the best buildings in the game, because it's only 3 elixir. Has really short range but very high attack speed and damage to single target. It can destroy things like the Battle Healer very easily, or like a Wizard. Have to give it S tier. Nah, not S tier. Let's give it just A tier. Cannon Cart. Cannon, but it moves, and it's not a tower, but it has like a shield HP, and then once the shield HP goes down, it turns into a cannon, basically. OP card. S tier. Clone. Clone is a very interesting card. You can only use on troops, and it just clones them into troops that have 1 HP but do the same amount of damage. Really good combo with stuff like the Battle Ram or the Cannon Cart. And stuff that, yeah, also if you clone something with shield health like the Cannon Cart, it'll also have a 1 HP shield health. Gonna have to give it, let's give it C tier. Not very good of a card. Especially because, like, the things that get cloned can easily be countered by, like, Zap. Dark Prince. Dark Prince is really good of a card. It's just a card that has like a mace and it charges and then does splash damage with its attack. Also has a shield. Pretty good card. I have to give it A tier. Dark Goblin. This is one of my favorite cards. It has very high damage and one of the fastest attack speed for a troop. Really good card, but doesn't have a lot of HP, but super good for chip damage and stuff. Gonna have to give it also A tier. Archers. Archers aren't very good because you should just use Dark Goblin instead. They're just two ranged units that have like the same amount of HP as the Dark Goblin, but do less damage and have less attack speed. But they're still pretty reliable, so gotta give them B tier. Earthquake. Earthquake is only useful on decks, on Hog Rider decks. It's very bad in any other situation. It does like no damage, but it just does high damage buildings. So, for example, it counters Expo, but it's really not that good of a card. D tier. Next we have the Electro Dragon. Electro Dragon's a pretty good card, honestly. It attacks and chains lightning onto things that resets and does some damage. Pretty good card, but not that good. B tier. Top of B tier. Electro Giant. A card no one knows how to counter. It's just only attacks towers, has a ton of HP, does a lot of damage, and has this effect around it. It's like an electro area that if an enemy thing attacks it, it starts zapping it. Really OP card, no one knows how to counter it. S tier. Electro Spirit. Electro Spirit's only one elixir. When it attacks something, chains lightning onto stuff. Like, let's say they put down like archers and it jumps into it, it'll chain onto both the archers and it does a reset. Pretty good card, but the problem is it can activate the king tower if they place something in between the princess tower and the king tower. Gonna have to give it B tier. Bottom of B tier. Electro Wizard. Electro Wizard's basically Electro Spirit, but it just is a troop that doesn't just only activate once. He shoots 2 lightning bolts that do reset and a little bit of damage. I like him. He's pretty good. Gonna have to give him over Zappies. Nah, under Zappies. E-Barbs. The most annoying card in the game. 6 elixir, spawns in 2 super fast barbarians with swords that have a ton of HP and do a ton of damage and have high attack speed. Really annoying to counter. Really overpowered card. Gonna have to give him A tier. Top of A tier. Not S tier though, because they still can be countered. Elixir Pump, underrated card, really good card honestly. You just put it down and starts slowly giving you elixir better. Like it fills up with elixir and then gives you 1 elixir. And when they updated it, so when it breaks, it also gives you elixir. Pretty good card, but it can easily be countered by like Earthquake. But it's still usually if people have a spell counter it very well. Elixir Golem, garbage card, gives your opponent, it's just a really cheap tank that doesn't even do that much damage, and it just gives your opponent elixir. F tier, it's the most garbage card, never use it. It's so bad if you clone it. If you use clone on it, it sucks. Executioner. They recently buffed the Executioner and gave him a huge range buff, so he's OP now and really good. S tier. Fire Spirit. Just 1 elixir thing that jumps and does some splash damage and does pretty good amount of damage. Gonna have to give it B tier. Nah, I'm gonna give it A tier because of how I like this card. Give it on the bottom of A tier. Arrows. Arrows are just the biggest spell in the game. It's just a huge area that can take out weak troops very well. Pretty good card, but there still is better stuff. Bottom of B tier. Well, a little bit higher. Fireball. Best spell. Just by far, just the best spell in the game. Really good. Does pretty good damage in a normal area. Gonna give it top of A tier. Firecracker. Firecracker is a pretty versatile card. It shoots a rocket that just explodes and does damage. It's really good at taking out troops. Pretty good card, but it can easily activate the King Tower, so I'm gonna have to give it C tier. Fisherman. Fisherman's really underrated. If he's too far away from something, he starts spinning his hook and then pulls it in. Like you can use him really easily to activate. If you hook in a giant, then the giant will start attacking the king tower. So really good card. Gonna have to give him A tier. Flying Machine. Flying Machine is a really, really, really good card. 4 elixir and just a flying machine that shoots cannonballs that do a lot of damage. Pretty good card. B tier. Freeze. Freeze is pretty annoying in some situations. Like you think your Princess Tower is about to just finish off this giant skeleton, but then nope, something still gets an extra hit off. It's really annoying, but it's not that good all the time. So C tier. Furnace. Furnace is a spawner. It spawns 1 fire spirit every like 8 seconds. It's really good if your opponent leaves it alone because it does a lot of chip damage. Pretty good card. Giant. Giant is not very good. He's the one tank that has nothing special. Like, bro, just use the giant skeleton, or if you really want to, just use the freaking Goblin Giant. I don't even. Yeah, just use the Goblin Giant for one more. The Giant is so bad, and he just doesn't do. He doesn't get a lot of value. Giant Skeleton. Really good card. Basically the giant, but he doesn't only attack towers. He attacks normal things, and when he dies, he drops a bomb that does like 800 damage. Super good card right now in the meta. Gonna have to give him S tier. Giant Snowball. My personal favorite cheap spell. Way better than Zap. Bigger area, does knockback, and slows down whenever it hits. A tier. Goblin Barrel. Pretty funny win condition, actually. It's really good. If they ignore it, it'll do 1,000 damage about. If they ignore it, you can put, it's just a barrel that you put anywhere and it spawns 3 goblins wherever it lands. Gonna have to give it A tier also. Top of A tier. Baby Dragon. Basically Wizard, but he just flies, does less damage, and attacks slower. But he has more HP and is flying, so he's better than Wizard by a lot. He's a pretty good card. He can tank a fireball. Pretty decent. Goblin Cage. It's just a building that doesn't do anything, but then when it breaks, it spawns like a goblin that starts punching things. It's pretty good. I would say if it was just the goblin, it should cost like 2, because it's not very. The Goblin Brawl that spawns isn't even that good. Give him B tier. Goblin Drill. Basically Goblin Drill Barrel, but better. It's a tower, so tanks will attack it, so you can use it on defense. And it just spawns like 1 goblin every few seconds, but it breaks pretty quickly. But it spawns 5 goblins total if you don't do anything about it. But if you put it next to the Princess Tower, then it will only spawn 4 because she's attacking the Goblin Drill. But it still does a ton of damage. Better than Goblin Barrel, so I'll put it right there. Goblin Gang. Terrible card. It just spawns 3 goblins in the front and 2 spirit goblins in the back. Super easily defended. F tier, even worse than Electro Golem. Goblin Giant. Goblin Giant's 1 more than Giant. He's basically the same thing, but he does like the same amount of damage, but he has a little bit faster movement speed, and he has 2 spirit goblins that throw spears on the back wherever he's walking, and when he dies, he drops them. So pretty good win condition. Pretty underrated, but still not the best. Goblin Hut. Goblin Hut spawns spear goblins every like 3 seconds. Not very good card. They don't do that much damage. Not very good. Goblins. Goblins are not that good right now, but they're okay. There's 2 elixir, and they spawn a few goblins that just have little daggers, and they do damage. They can be pretty effective when just defending a giant, but pretty cheap, pretty good, but not that good. So I gotta put them there. Golem. Golem's 8 elixir, pretty expensive. Also, this is a typo. This is supposed to be 7 elixir. Golem's 8 elixir, really one of the most expensive, the second most expensive card in the game. He has the most HP in the game, but he's really slow, does a lot of damage to towers. When he dies, he splits up into 2 littler golems that then die. So, but he's too expensive right now, not very good in the meta. He's only really good in Night Witch Golem, so I have to give him bottom of B tier. Graveyard. Graveyard, you can put it's a spell. You can put it anywhere, and it just spawns skeletons. And it's not very good by itself on the tower, but it is pretty good if, let's say, you put down like, let's say you put down a let's say you put down like a Dark Prince, and it's charging towards the tower, and then you put down Graveyard. It's really effective because the Princess Tower will not attack the skeletons, and they'll do a ton of damage. So I'm gonna give it A tier. Guards. Guards are okay, honestly. They're not that good, but it's just 3 skeletons that have, it's basically 3 skeletons that have armor, that have 3 spears that do pretty good damage, and they get a lot of value a lot of the time. But they're not that good, so I'm going to give them B tier. Heal Spirit. Heal Spirit is the worst 1 elixir card in the game. It literally does barely any damage when it jumps on something, and just makes a small healing area. Worst Spirit in the game, not good at all. Never use it, just use anything other Spirit, honestly. Balloon. Balloon's a very good win condition. If you can combo it with something, it's amazing. If it can get even 1 hit off in the tower. It does like 700 damage to towers, and it drops a little bomb when it dies that only does like 200, but it usually always hits the tower. Really good win condition. Top of A tier, behind Fireball. Hog Rider. Balanced win condition. Pretty good, pretty fast. Usually gets 1 hit off on the tower even if they defend it. Really good card. Above its B tier though, because it's not that overpowered. Hunter. Hunter is the #1 counter for Balloon. It basically one-shots Balloon, and it just is really good against tanks, because it shoots a ton of bullets, so if you put it on something, it can get a lot of value. Above Balloon. A 2 elixir card that is really good. Has really good stats. It's not really meant for attacking the tower. It's just meant for defense mostly. Like you can put it on your side and things will attack it, but it has a lot of HP. Really good card. You can get a lot of value. Ice Spirit. Second worst spirit. Pretty good card, honestly. It's okay. It jumps and freezes for a second. Pretty good. Gets a lot of value a lot of the time. It's really good against balloons, so gonna probably have to give it B tier. Behind Electro Spirit, though. Ice Wizard. Ice Wizard's the worst legendary in the game. He just drops. He does a little bit of. He does slowness basically. He shoots ice that slows down things, and when you place him down, he has a little snow area. Worst legendary in the game by far. Garbage card D. Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon is really good of a card. It counters tanks amazing, and it can also just counter other things also, like let's say flying machine, or like no, a really good thing is bowler, or like other stuff like that. He's a really good card. I'm gonna have to give him S tier because of how good he is. Also, Electro Giant should not be at the top. Skeleton Giant should. Inferno Tower. Basically Inferno Dragon, but it's a tower. Not as good, but still very good. So I'm going to have to give him A tier behind this. But they can be reset by Electro Wizard. Knight. Basically Ice Golem, but he can attack. So, pretty good card. So I'm going to have to place him next to Ice Golem. He has pretty good stats for the cost. Lava Hound. Second worst win condition. Literally, it costs 7 elixir. It's basically a flying golem that does 50 damage to the tower. And when they die, they spawn 6 little lava pups that also do like 50 damage. Gonna have to give it D tier also, above Giant though. Lightning. Lightning's okay. It just can hit 3 things and does a lot of damage, but it costs 6, so it's really not that good. Bottom of B tier. Actually, no, it gets a lot of value sometimes, so I'm gonna have to give it higher, like top of B tier. Bandit. And then we have the Bandit. The Bandit's a really good 3 elixir card. It can dash and attack things. It's really good. I'm going to have to give it A tier. Lumberjack. Lumberjack is a really good card. Runs forward and starts chopping and does a lot of damage. And he drops a rage spell when he dies that speed things up. One of my personal favorites. Top of A tier. Very good in Lumberloon, because you can do the Lumberjack and then put a balloon down, and then, yeah, and it gets a lot of value. Magic Archer. Super long range card that can deal with swarms really well. Doesn't have any HP, dies to a fireball, but he's still really good of a card. Gets a lot of value, but A tier's getting a little bit filled up, so I'm going to have to give him B tier. Mega Knight. Best win condition. Best win condition. So good. Or best tank. He's the most overpowered tank. He's my favorite card. He's overpowered. Then we have Mega Minion. 3 elixir card. Has decent amount of HP. Does a lot of damage to a single target. Gonna have to give him under Flying Machine. Now, actually, over Flying Machine is pretty good. Miner. Miner's a card that can dig to the tower, has a good amount of HP, and can do some chip damage if they ignore it. Gonna have to be higher than this though. Pretty top, basically top of A tier. Mini Pekka. Mini Pekka's really good, honestly. He does a ton of damage and has a pretty good amount of HP, but he's really good to counter against Electro Giant. Gonna have to give him a B tier, cause there's better things though. Top of B tier. Minion Horde. Very bad card for 5 elixir. Can be countered by basically any spell. 5 elixir spawns 6 minions. Only really good thing it gets good against is tanks, but you can counter it with arrows. or zap or something. It can't die, but I'm gonna have to give it D tier. Normal minions, basically Minion Horde, but it costs 3 and spawns 3. It's pretty good because it's cheaper, and they have to waste a spell sometimes on it, so gonna have to give them B tier. Mirror. Mirror's a funny card. Whatever you play less, like for example, let's say you put down a Hog Rider, and then it'll appear on the mirror for 5 elixir, but you place it down, it comes out, and it has a couple levels higher, so it's stronger. Mirror's a fun card. Gonna have to give it A tier. Mortar. Mortar's basically Expo, but it's only 4 elixir, and it just shoots rocks at the tower, but it can't shoot next to it, so it's better, and also because it can shoot the tower even if there's like a tank on it. Gonna have to give it B tier. Barbarian Barrel. Basically just rolls forward, does damage, and then spawns a Barbarian wherever it lands. Not that good, but it's okay. Next, we got the Mother Witch. The Mother Witch is good against swarms. Every time she kills something, she spawns a little pig that runs at the tower. Okay card, but only in some situations. Musketeer. Musketeer is a good air counter. It's really simple. It just shoots little balls that do damage. Higher than maybe Dragon. Night Witch, garbage card. Just is a little witch that's melee that spawns 2 bats. Okay, not that good though, so C tier. Pekka, really good card, does like 800 damage to stuff. It has a ton of HP, but it gets countered by swarms. Okay card. Poison's pretty bad, honestly. It's just a spell that does damage over time. Pretty good against swarms, but you should probably just use arrows or zap or something else. Prince is basically Dark Prince, but worse. He just is a single target thing that does a ton of damage. Honestly, guys, just use Mini Pekka. Princess can shoot the tower from the bridge, but shoots a bunch of fire arrows, but has no HP. Rage. Rage spell speeds things up wherever it is. For 2 elixir, it's actually pretty decent. I'm gonna have to give it A tier. Okay, we have Ram Rider. Basically Hog Rider, except she also throws like these snares that slow things down. She's okay, but not the best. Rascals. Rascals are not doing very well in the meta right now. They have 1 tank in the front, 2 Rascal girls behind her. Like they're basically just like, let's say you put down a knight and then you put down archers behind it. It's basically what it is, but for 5 elixir. Gonna have to give them C tier. Barbarian Hut. Garbage card, worst card in the game by far. Just spawns 2 barbarians at a time and only spawns 8 barbarians over its lifetime, and it costs 7 elixir. Worst. Rocket. Really good card. It does a ton of damage to towers and can destroy basically any card besides tanks. Gonna have to give it top of A tier. Royal Delivery. Royal Delivery drops down, does a ton of damage, and then spawns a Royal Recruit. Pretty good, but not the best. Gonna have to give it right just under arrows. Royal Ghost. It goes invisible, and then when it gets to the tower, when it does damage, and then it goes uninvisible and can be attacked. Pretty good because it can also go over the bridge. Royal Giant. Really good win condition, honestly. He only attacks towers and shoots a metal ball that does a ton of damage. I think I should give him S tier. Yeah, I'm gonna give him S tier. Royal Hogs. 5 elixir card that's just a bunch of little hogs. They're really good, honestly, because there's 4 of them. You can split them up so they jump over the bridge. Pretty good card. Gonna have to give them A tier. B tier, actually. I was gonna give them A tier, but top of B tier. Royal Recruits. Really good for defending double side pushes, but not really good in any other situation. Skarmy. Overpowered card. Can basically take out any tank. Overpowered. Pretty good. Skeleton Barrel. Garbage card. Just goes to the tower and drops down and spawns 6 skeletons. Can basically be countered by any card in the game. Skeleton Dragons. Basically baby dragons split in half. So, gonna have to give them right there. Skeletons. Overpowered. Really good card. Probably one of the best cards in the game. It's only 1 elixir and spawns 3 skeletons. You're like, oh my god, that sucks. No, it's really good, actually, because it can counter tanks. Like, if they put down Mini Pekka, it literally can counter Sparky, right? I'll do Sparky next. Sparky charges up. It does the most damage in the game. She has to charge up, and it takes her, like, 3 seconds to charge up her attack, and then she attacks for, like, 1,200 damage and splash damage. She can be countered by skeletons if you place the skeletons around her, so that's why skeletons are an S tier. Gonna have to give her Sparky A tier though. Barbarians, really bad card, can be countered by a fireball. Pretty bad, just spawns barbarians, but I'm gonna have to probably give them a C tier because they're okay at countering tanks. Spirit goblins are pretty bad. They can die by anything, basically, even Zap usually, because Zap is usually a higher level than them. They're pretty bad, honestly. I'm gonna have to probably give them C tier under Firecracker, bottom of C tier. Tesla. It hides under the ground, can't be damaged by spells besides Earthquake, but it's okay. I'm gonna have to give it B tier. Log. Log is so good for 2 elixir. It does a lot of damage, pushes things back. 3 Musketeers. The most expensive card in the game. Just spawns 3 of these per people. They're pretty good, but they can just be countered by a fireball, rocket, or lightning really easily. So I'm gonna have to give them bottom of C tier. Tombstone's underrated, just spawns skeletons after a while. Spawns 2 skeletons every like 5 seconds. When it breaks, it spawns 5 skeletons. B tier. Tornado. Tornado is okay. It sucks things into the middle of it for a second. Can really be used to activate the King Tower. A tier. Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a 360 splash damage dealer. She's really good. She's super good because she has a lot of HP. A tier. Wall breakers. 2 elixir, charge at the tower. If you ignore them, they do like 800 damage to your tower. And you can split them up in the middle. Really good. Top minor wall breaker combo right there. Witch is really good because she got buffed. She spawns 4 skeletons now instead of 3. And she's just a really overall versatile card. Middle of A tier. Right under them. Yeah. Bats. Bats are one of my favorite cards. 2 elixir spawns 5 bats that die in 1 hit by anything, but they're just only 2 elixir, so they can destroy tanks. A tier. Now we're at the champions. Archer Queen. Archer Queen is a... I'm just gonna... I already know what I'm gonna do with these guys. Archer Queen is a air attacker. Her ability cloaks her so nothing can see her, and she attacks super fast. S tier, of course. Golden Knight is a 4 elixir. He got nerfed, so he's not as good anymore. He attacks, and he charges into a bunch of things. A tier. Top of A tier. I'm sorry, Golden Knight. Skeleton King. I do not like Skeleton King. He is garbage, in my opinion. There's way better cards than him. He is really bad, in my opinion. He just costs 2 elixir to use his ability, and he spawns skeletons around him. Bottom of B tier. Mighty Miner. Going to be the top... right above Archer Queen. In S tier, his normal attack is he sticks a drill into things and starts like doing more and more damage, basically like Inferno Dragon. And then his ability makes him dig under the ground to the other side, and he leaves a bomb. So basically, he can deal with swarms and tanks. OP. Alright, guys, that's my tier list.